Alright, so the trade deadline is coming past today. We had some incredibly big trades happen on the final day before the trade deadline. We also had several large trades happen leading up to the trade deadline. I'm going to talk to you today on this sports video blog about how those trades are going to affect the divisional races, and then I'm going to tell you my picks for the World Series. The first trade that I want to talk to you about is the Mark Teixeira trade. Okay, so the Braves dealt Mark Teixeira to Los Angeles of Anaheim for Casey Kotchman and a right-handed pitching prospect named Stephen Merrick. Stephen Merrick is not a highly regarded prospect. No one's ever heard of him. So essentially this trade really boils down to a first baseman for a first baseman trade. Mark Teixeira is going to bring a lethal pop to an already potent Los Angeles Angels lineup. He's got 20 home runs right now, 78 RBIs, and he's just going to add that one piece that the Angels really need to put them over the top for sure. Right now, in my opinion, they are a lock for the World Series. Whereas the Braves have killed themselves with this. Last year at the trading deadline, they gave up several prospects to get Teixeira, and now they're getting rid of him for virtually nothing. Alright, so now we're going to talk about two trades at the same time here. The two trades greatly affect each other, which is why we're going to do that. Those two trades are the Cubs dealing for Rich Harden and the Brewers dealing for CC Sabathia, last year's AL Cy Young Award winner. So the Brewers made the first big splash this year, trading for CC Sabathia. Big deal because Sabathia won last year's AL Cy Young. What did the Brewers give up? They did give up a fair amount. They gave up some very promising prospects, very promising first baseman, Matt Laporta, Zach Johnson, who throws fireballs, and then another pitcher, Rob Bryson, who has potential, though really hasn't blossomed yet. There's also a fourth player in this deal that is yet to be specified, but will be in the future. Big deal for the Brewers because this makes them a huge threat to the Cubs in the NL Central. It adds to their pitching rotation. They've got CC Sabathia now, and then on top of CC Sabathia, they've got Ben Sheets throwing for them. And those two combined, especially if they were to make the playoffs, would really help them make a threat because in the playoffs, what you really need is two legitimate threats on the pitcher's mound, which are going to pull you through the playoffs. Okay, so the very next day after CC Sabathia was traded to the Brewers, the Cubs dealt for Rich Harden. On top of getting Rich Harden, they got another right-handed pitcher, Chad Gowden, who actually is a very decent pitcher. They sent a very promising right-handed pitcher, Sean Gallagher, who is just coming into his career, along with garbage contracts Matt Merton and Eric Patterson. This is a huge deal for the Cubs because, in my honest opinion, they got away with two good pitchers, one great, one good, for a prospect. So the Cubs really won in this battle, and they got that second really big threat to complement Zambrano for that playoff run. This is going to really help them try and solidify the NL Central. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the deals that were done right before the trade deadline. And these two trades are remarkable because the two trades are for future Hall of Famers. One was the White Sox dealing for Ken Griffey Jr., and the other was a three-way trade between the Boston Red Sox, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Los Angeles Dodgers, where Manny Ramirez went to the Dodgers, Jason Bay went to the Bo Sox, and the Pirates get 4 prospects. Alright, so first trade we're going to talk about is the White Sox dealing for Ken Griffey Jr. A lot of people are going to make this into a big deal. I personally don't see it as a big deal. Ken Griffey Jr. In his time was an amazing athlete. I just don't think he is now what he once was. They're going to be putting him in center field with Quentin and Jermaine Dye left and right. And Ken Griffey Jr. just doesn't have the wheels that he did. He cannot compete at the center field position. I just think it's a mistake. And not to mention his numbers are down from what they once were. The Sox get a couple prospects, or give away a couple prospects for a player who really I don't think is going to put him over the top. Okay, so now the blockbuster deal between the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Boston Red Sox, and the Pittsburgh Pirates.
The Los Angeles Dodgers end up with Manny Ramirez, the bat that they desperately needed in a lineup that lacked power entirely. The Boston Red Sox get rid of Manny Ramirez, which was their goal all along because he was a cancer in their locker room. And the Pirates end up with a couple of decent prospects in a year that they are desperately trying to rebuild their team. The Pirates end up with Andy LaRoche's brother, who plays third base, Adam LaRoche, who has potential to be a power hitter. They get Brandon Moss, a power hitter from the minors for Boston, and a couple of pitching prospects who may or may not pan out. It's still questionable at this time. The Dodgers prospect is battling injury, whereas the Boston prospect could be a little past his time. He's beginning to fade in his ERA numbers.
All right, so now we're going to move into my picks for the divisions and for the World Series. Starting the AL. In the AL West, it's kind of a given. It's going to be the Angels. Not much to say about that race. It's not a race. In the AL Central, there's a little bit more of a question. You've got the Minnesota Twins and the Chicago White Sox. The Twins didn't do anything in the trade market. The White Sox did, however, pick up Ken Griffey Jr., but I don't think that addition is going to be enough. I really like the Twins to win this division. I think their pitching is going to come around, and Joe Mauer is really going to carry them over the hump. Moving on to the AL East, you got a really tough three-team race. You've got the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Don't sue me! Sorry, they're supposed to be called the Rays. They have a big problem with being called Devil Rays. And then the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. Red Sox had a little bit of addition by subtraction, getting rid of Manny Ramirez, replacing him with Jason Bay in the trade market. The Rays didn't do anything, and the Yankees picked up Pudge Rodriguez from the Detroit Tigers and Javier Nady from the Pittsburgh Pirates. I really am coming out of left field on this one. I think the Yankees are going to come and take this division. I think that the new players are going to bring a renewed vigor to the team. I think they're really going to turn it around and start winning some games and really take that division by storm and surprise a lot of people. For my AL wildcard pick, I'm going to go with the AL East and stay with the Rays. I think that they're a good team. They really are just too young to win the division at this point in time. They just need another year. They'll get to the playoffs. Moving on to the NL, we're going to start in the NL East, where there's a three-team race again with the Phillies, the Mets, and the Marlins. I don't like the Marlins. I don't think they're consistent enough. I don't like their pitching. I think it's unlikely that they're going to be there at the end of September. It's really going to come down to the Mets and the Phillies. I like the Mets a lot. They have some great hitters, Delgado, Beltran, Reyes, Wright. But I like the trio of MVPs. Yeah, I said the trio because I think Chase Utley is going to win the MVP this year and carry the Phillies to the NL East crown. So, I mean, that's my pick there. In the NL Central, you have another three-team race with the Cubs, the Brewers, and the Cardinals. Now, I say it's a three-team race, really thinking it's only a two. I think the Cardinals are going to fade by September and lose by 5, 6, 7 games in the division. But the other two teams, the Brewers and the Cubs, are going to make it a very close race in September. But I think the Cubs pitching carries the division with Zambrano and Harden and Marquis and Lilly and Dempster. I just think that starting rotation, along with Wood in the bullpen and Marmol in the bullpen, are going to help them carry the division. Moving on to the NL West, where my favorite team plays, it's going to be the Dodgers. If it's not the Dodgers, then I will be stunned. They were the only team that made any significant, waves in the trade market. They picked up Manny Ramirez, the huge bat that they needed, and Casey Blake, another bat that they needed. Really upgraded the offense. The Diamondbacks went out, got a reliever for their bullpen, which they really needed. But in my opinion, what they needed more was a bat. Teixeira was that bat, and they lost the bidding war for him. So there's really not much to say there. My wild card pick is close, but I think I'm going to take the Mets in it over the Brewers. And my World Series is going to be the Angels over the Cubs in 6 games. So I hope you enjoyed this week's video blog. Tune in again. Go Dodgers.